Going to prison is an occupational hazard for mobsters. Here is a selection of photos of both famous and lesser-known wise guys behind bars. Let's check it out. Today, we're going to take a quick look at a few photos of American Mafia mobsters in prison. Let's start with a familiar face. Future Gambino family boss John Gotti can be seen here posing for a photo taken in Lewisburg prison in around 1970. Gotti was still an associate at the time and was serving a sentence for hijacking. Also in the picture, from left to right, far left, unknown. Next in the back row is Frankie DeChico. Frankie DeChico would be inducted into the Gambino crime family in early 1976 after the books had reopened. He would serve in the crew of Captain James Jimmy Brown Failla. DeChico would become a captain of his own crew in around 1982 or 1983. DeChico was one of the mobsters behind the plot to murder family boss Paul Castellano in December 1985. After Castellano and his underboss Tommy Bellotti were murdered, DeChico was promoted to underboss to John Gotti. In April 1986, Frankie DeChico was murdered by a car bomb. His killing was allegedly a reprisal for his part in the Castellano hit. Next to Frankie DeChico is George Fat Georgie Remini, also known as Big George. Fat Georgie would also later become a made man and served in the crew of Gambino family captain Tommy Gambino, who of course was the son of legendary family boss Carlo Gambino. For a period of time in the early 1990s, George Remini would become acting captain when Tommy Gambino was sent to prison in 1991. In the middle of the photo is, of course, John Gotti. Next to Gotti is an unknown individual. And then finally, on the far right, is the greatly feared Michael Mickey Boy Paradiso. Mickey Boy Paradiso would be inducted into the Gambino family in the late 1970s and would serve as a soldier in the crew of Captain Nino Garofalo. In 2019, it was reported by some sources that the aging Mickey Boy Paradiso had been elevated to the position of consigliere. Whether he still holds this position is up for debate. Next is a selection of photos of two more heavyweights who were both convicted in the famous commission trial in the mid-1980s. Here we can see former Genovese crime family powerhouse Anthony Fat Tony Salerno with his trademark cigar, serving his 100-year sentence in Springfield, Missouri. In this next photo, standing in the middle, we see former Lucchese crime family boss Anthony Tony Ducks Corallo. On the left of Corallo is former Colombo family underboss Gennaro Jerry Lang Langella, who was also sentenced to 100 years in the commission case. And on the other side of Tony Ducks is allegedly Milwaukee mobster Anthony Tony Pep Balistreri, soldier in the Milwaukee crime family. And then on the far right, we have heavyweight Patriarcha crime family associate Gerard Ouimet. And then finally in this section is a prison photo of Tony Ducks and Fat Tony together. The mob powerhouses had been friends for many years and would both die behind bars at the same prison. Anthony Fat Tony Salerno passing away in July 1992, and Anthony Corallo 8 years later in August 2000. Next up is a photo comprising of prisoners from New England's Patriarcha crime family and New York's Genovese crime family. Starting on the far left, we again have powerful Patriarcha crime family associate Gerard Ouimet. Over several prison spells, Ouimet spent around 30 years behind bars. Next to Ouimet is Genovese crime family mobster Federico Fritzi Giovanelli. In the late 1990s and early 2000s, Giovanelli would serve as acting captain for Dominic Quiet Dom Cirillo's crew. Next to Giovanelli is Patriarcha crime family heavyweight Matthew Guglielmetti. Now, in his twilight years, some sources state that Guglielmetti is the current underboss of the New England Mafia. Next up, we have the 1973 championship softball team at Lewisburg Penitentiary, Pennsylvania. Some notable names to point out. Number 14, Angelo Quack Quack Ruggiero, a future soldier and captain in the Gambino crime family. Number 13, with his hand on Ruggiero's shoulder, is future Gambino crime family soldier John Carneglia. Carneglia was the man who put the fatal shots into family boss Paul Castellano in December 1985. At number 5 is an interesting mobster by the name of Oreste Ernie Boy Abamonte. Ernie Boy was a Gambino family soldier who in his early years was part of the infamous Pleasant Avenue drug dealing network in East Harlem. And at number 17 is mob associate James Cardinale. He would later become an errand boy for John Gotti and would eventually turn government witness and testify against the Dapper Don in court in the late 1980s. Now for a recent prison photo that I'm sure a fair few of you have already seen. In the middle of this photo is alleged Philadelphia crime family underboss Stephen Handsome Stevie Mazzone. And on the far right is mob associate Peter Tuccio. Now prepare for a deluge of names, starting with the back row. On the far left is Richie Gotti, also known as Richard G. Gotti. He is the son of Richard V. Gotti, who was the brother of former Gambino family boss John Gotti. Next to him is Vito Gazzo Jr. Vito Gazzo Jr. is a particularly feared Colombo crime family mobster with many murders under his belt. He was sent to prison in around 1990 and was allegedly inducted into the Colombo crime family in a ceremony held in the prison bathroom. Next to Gazzo is Andy Morollo. Morollo is a Gambino family mobster based out of New Jersey. He was allegedly brought into the crime family by Jackie D'Amico. Next to Morollo is the Lucchese crime family mobster Ray Argentina. Argentina was a soldier in what was formerly Paul Vario's Canarsie crew. Argentina was inducted into the Lucchese crime family in around 1988. To the right of Ray Argentina is former Philadelphia boss John Stanfa. Stanfa is a controversial figure. He was Angelo Bruno's driver on the night that he was assassinated. And years later, after fleeing Philadelphia and spending some time in prison, John Stanfa would return to become the boss of the Philadelphia crime family after Nicky Scarfo's incarceration. Stanfa would be drawn into a war with another Philadelphia mobster, Joey Merlino, which led to multiple casualties. The war would end when John Stanfa was sentenced to life imprisonment in 1996. To the right-hand side of John Stanfa is Gambino family mobster Huck Carbonaro. Carbonaro was convicted of being involved in a plot to murder former Gambino family underboss Salvatore Sammy the Bull Gravano. He was sentenced to 70 years in prison. And now down to the front row. At the far left is an unknown prisoner. Next to him is Troy Damiano, a narcotics dealer. Next to Damiano is Pete Player. And finally, on the far right is Michael Palmisano. The next photo features a few Mafia heavyweights locked up together. On the far left is Bonanno crime family mobster Nicky Santora. Santora had previously been a member of Dominic Sonny Black Napolitano's crew. He would eventually become captain before he was promoted to the position of underboss of the Bonanno crime family. In the middle is the greatly feared Genovese crime family mobster Tino Fiumara, and on the far right of the photo is former Colombo crime family underboss Gennaro Jerry Lang Langella. As previously mentioned, Jerry Langella was serving his sentence of over 100 years that was received partly due to the famous commission case of the mid-1980s. If you enjoyed watching the film on Mafia prison photos, then you'll want to see our film on the New York's Mafia families who are still active, popped up on the upper left of your screen.